Angel Reese, what did I tell you? But basically, whatever I tell you on this show, if it isn't already happening, will happen. It's like automatic. I don't know what to tell you.
Angel Reese claims Caitlin Clark's fans are racist. Dan Dakich isn't having it. Wait, what's really going on between these two WNBA stars? Let's break down this heated rivalry that's got everyone talking. You might be wondering, who are these players? Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are the new faces of women's basketball. They've got skills that'll make your jaw drop and a rivalry that's heating up faster than a summer blacktop. But now, things just got real off the court. Here's the thing, Dan Dakich, our go-to commentator, is fired up about Reese's comments. He's not just disagreeing, he's ready to blow the whistle on what he sees as a foul play. But wait, there's more to this story than meets the eye.
Now, remember Angel Reese with all this stuff? And then what happened? She was ghetto. She was sexual, and then she had a press conference where she cried and everybody's so mean to me. Well, she's continued the stupidity.
Why should you care? This isn't just about two players anymore. It's about race, fans, and the future of women's basketball. Stick around as we unpack this controversy that's got the whole sports world buzzing. You've heard the controversy, but do you know what's really going on behind the scenes? Angel Reese dropped a bombshell that's got everyone talking, but it's what she's not saying that might be the real game changer. Let's dive into what Angel Reese actually said. She didn't just call out Caitlin Clark's fans, she took aim at a much bigger target. Reese claimed, "I think there's a lot of racism when it comes to it." That's right, she's pointing the finger at racism in women's basketball. But why now? And why Clark's fans specifically? Here's where things get wild. Reese isn't just talking about mean tweets or nasty comments. She's dealing with some seriously scary stuff. She revealed that people have actually come to her address and followed her home. Can you imagine that? One minute you're a rising basketball star, the next you're looking over your shoulder everywhere you go. But hold up, before you think this is just about Reese versus Clark, there's a twist. Reese made it crystal clear. There is no hate between her and Clark. So what's really going on here? Reese is shining a spotlight on something bigger than just two players. She's talking about a trend she sees in fan behavior, and it's not pretty. Death threats, harassment. Reese described it as deeply distressing. This isn't just trash talk gone too far, it's a whole other level of ugly.
You know it goes to racist. And of course the death threats. Oh, so many death threats.
Now, you might be thinking, isn't this just part of being famous? But here's the kicker. Reese isn't trying to stir up drama. She's not out here trying to create division. She's speaking up about something she sees as a real problem in the sport she loves. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about how we treat our athletes, especially women in sports. It's about the dark side of fandom that we don't always want to talk about. And it's about race, a topic that's always complicated, but especially so in the world of sports. Reese's comments have sparked a fire. They've got people talking, debating, and yes, arguing. But maybe that's exactly what needs to happen. Maybe it's time we take a hard look at how fans interact with athletes, especially when race comes into play. Just when you thought the conversation couldn't get more intense, Dan Dakich entered the chat. His take on Reese's comments? Let's just say it's anything but subtle. What made this sports commentator go nuclear, and is he speaking hard truths or just adding fuel to the fire?
Now the little ridiculous one, as we're going to refer to her from now on, has a little podcast. She has a little podcast. Close your eyes, you know where it's going. You know it's going to Caitlin Clark.
Dakich didn't hold back. He called Reese's claims ghetto and ridiculous. Yeah, you read that right. He's not just disagreeing, he's calling out what he sees as a major foul play in this whole situation. So why is Dakich so fired up? He thinks Reese is playing the victim card. In his words, you cannot have a lack of success as an African-American woman and be disappointed and not claim some type of racism. That's a bold statement, and it's got people talking. But Dakich wasn't done there. He took aim at how Reese has been handling herself in the media. According to him, she's made it all about her brand the entire time. He's painting a picture of Reese as someone who's more focused on herself than on team success. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Dakich is drawing a line between Reese and Caitlin Clark. He's suggesting that Clark's success comes from hard work and talent, while Reese's narrative is all about playing the victim when things don't go her way. You might be wondering, wondering, is Dakich being fair here? He's brushing off Reese's claims about racism, saying when things don't go certain people's way, I just laugh. That's a pretty strong stance to take, especially when we're talking about serious issues like racism and threats. But wait, there's more to unpack here. Dakich's comments aren't just about Reese and Clark anymore. They're raising some big questions about how we talk about race in sports. Are athletes of color really playing the race card when they speak up about their experiences? Or is this the kind of dismissive attitude that keeps these important conversations from happening? Think about it. We've got two rising stars in women's basketball. One speaking out about racism she's experienced, the other's being held up as an example of success without complaints. Is this a fair comparison, or are we missing something important here? Dakich's words have thrown gasoline on an already heated debate. Some people are nodding along, thinking he's saying what needs to be said. Others are shaking their heads, seeing his comments as part of the problem Reese was trying to address in the first place. You might think this controversy is just about Reese and Clark, but it's turning into a game changer for how we talk about race in sports. Dakich's comments aren't just causing a stir, they're shining a spotlight on a much bigger issue. Let's take a closer look at what Dakich said. He claims that African American women can't face challenges without crying racism. That's a pretty bold statement, right? But here's the thing, it's not just Dakich. This idea that athletes of color are playing the race card when they speak up, it's more common than you might think. Think about it. How often do we see this happen? An athlete speaks out about racism, and suddenly they're accused of making excuses. It's like they can't win. If they stay quiet, the problem doesn't get addressed. If they speak up, they're labeled as troublemakers. But wait, there's more to this story. The media's got a big role in all this drama. They've been hyping up the Reese-Clark rivalry from day one. Dakich even pointed it out, saying the media keeps going on about it. But are they telling the whole story? Or are they just stirring the pot for more clicks and views? This whole situation is like a mirror, reflecting some uncomfortable truths about sports and society. It's not just about basketball anymore. It's about race, gender, and how we treat athletes who dare to speak their minds. You might be wondering, why does this matter? Well, it's changing the game, both on and off the court. It's forcing us to ask some tough questions. How do we talk about race in sports? Are we really listening to athletes when they share their experiences? Or are we too quick to dismiss? And here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about Reese and Clark anymore. It's about every athlete who's ever felt silenced or misunderstood. It's about the fans who cheer from the sidelines and the commentators who shape the narrative. Think about the pressure these athletes are under. They're not just expected to perform on the court, they're also dealing with intense scrutiny off it. Every word they say, every move they make, it's all under the microscope. And when race enters the conversation, that microscope turns into a spotlight. But maybe that's not such a bad thing. Maybe we need this spotlight. Maybe it's time we take a hard look at how we handle these conversations in sports. Are we ready to listen, really listen, when athletes speak up about their experiences? Let's wrap this up. Angel Reese spoke out about racism, Dan Dakich fired back, and Caitlin Clark's caught in the middle. So who's winning this game of public opinion? More importantly, what's at stake for women's basketball? Here's the thing, this isn't just about who's right or wrong, it's about the future of the sport. How we handle these conversations could make or break women's basketball. Are we ready to listen when players speak up, or are we too quick to dismiss their experiences? Athletes, commentators, and fans all have a role to play here. It's not just about what happens on the court anymore. It's about respect, understanding, and creating a space where everyone feels heard. The real question is, are we up for the challenge? Because the clock's ticking and the future of women's basketball is on the line.